My 16-year-old girls want their father, my 36-year-old ex-wife, and I to reconcile, but they aren't done yet. It doesn't sound like a major issue, does it? Yes, well, there's the issue of our two girls and our shared custody, even though I wish I could simply tell her to shut up and never bother me again. Therefore, I am unable to permanently cut her out of my life without also cutting out our girls. After dating for 3 years prior to being married at the age of 20, we were very young. Our daughters were born in the first year of our marriage, and my ex-wife would have trouble getting pregnant again due to certain issues. At the time, I didn't care since I was just relieved that she had survived the entire procedure in good health and that we already had 2 adorable baby daughters to care for and raise. After 9 years of marriage, I divorced her due to her infidelity. I don't believe in making myself suffer needlessly for things that weren't my fault in the first place, and I have zero tolerance for it. While some people may find this hard to believe, when I discovered the specifics of my ex-wife's infidelity, whatever feelings of love I may have had for her were all but destroyed. Thus, no, this isn't a topic about me putting her behind me. That was 7 years ago. I don't even despise her, really. I simply don't care about her personal affairs unless they involve our girls. The issue is that I was the only one who was able to move past the entire situation. I have made it very clear to everyone that I have no interest in ever getting back together. But the ex-wife, her family, and even our girls have persisted in trying. I might have given them false hope by not dating for a few years after the divorce, but I was in no way going to rush into another relationship so soon after, especially because I had girls to take care of. Aside from my personal problems, which resulted from the excessive cheating, they were my first focus. By the way, with the support of friends, family, and some counseling, those concerns were handled. That's now resolved, so yep, I have no trouble at all speaking with our girls. They can grasp anything else absolutely well. Thus far, there hasn't been any fighting, yelling, senseless teenage rebellion, throwing of tantrums, and so forth. Really amazing, isn't that right? Aside from this entire situation, they are aware that she cheated on me. In fact, their mother informed them about it around 3 years ago. Since then, she must have been feeding them some sort of BS, because I've urged her numerous times to stop, saying that it wasn't helping anyone and would only keep them from moving on. The ex-wife, though, persisted. It seems like she just softened her stance on it. Since our divorce, she hasn't dated or had sex with another anyone. I don't think that's admirable, but I suppose she does. Honestly, I think it's a little offensive. She asked someone else when we got married, but she's okay with not having sex for 7 years now. Whatever. Not that it is significant. The sporadic remarks about their mother's appearance and the pictures they showed me of her, obviously staged for my benefit, were something I could put up with, but lately it's gotten worse. Why? Since I am in a relationship. Although Clemens is not the first person I've dated since my divorce, she is the most committed one. Not only that, but she's 8 years my junior. We had a common interest and got to know one another for 4 years before we started dating. In other words, it's essentially a slow process from being friends to getting entangled with each other. Sincerely, I adore this woman. That surprised me when I realized that, because for a while I was afraid, though I didn't really want to admit it to myself, that what my ex-wife had done to me had fundamentally damaged me and would never allow me to love another person the way I had loved her. At first, my girls didn't say much about our connection. The same was true with the 2 post-divorce relationships I had before. But then they began arriving home before the prearranged timetable we had established, and they would discover Clemens and me together. Nothing compromising, no sexual activity or something similar. Then the complaining started, followed by the "why is she here" inquiries and the "it's not fair to mum what you're doing" comments. As though I was genuinely doing this just to annoy or harm their mother. I took a seat next to them and began talking endlessly. However, they simply do not understand. They just won't give up on their absurd fantasy in which I reunite with their mother. Thankfully, Clemens has been understanding and isn't offended by their actions. Basically, what she's saying is to give them time, but I don't think it will work. Thus far, no. I don't see why anything would change with more time. Then, in any case, I thought I might as well ask you guys if you have any suggestions for how to handle this, as I'm truly at a loss for ideas. Is there any method or strategy that could help my daughters realize that I would never, ever get back together with their mother? I'm gonna start by congratulating you. I mean, this channel has a lot of tales of people who have been cheated on, and many of them have trouble putting themselves out there again and have a lot of trust issues, which I think is one of those unfortunate side effects of being cheated on, right? But you overcame it with the support of family, friends, and counseling. Thus, congrats on that. To get to the topic at hand, you indicated that you had spoken with them multiple times, but you omitted to specify what you have discussed. Thus, the message you're giving your daughters may be the cause. You keep telling them that it won't happen because you know you're past it. To make them realize why you're not going to return to their mother, though you might need to explain exactly what happened to you. They're almost adults, so perhaps if you can put yourself in their position and let them experience the world as you do, they'll come to terms with it and leave you alone. And what are your thoughts, guys? Or, in the position of the OP, how would you respond? Tell me in the space provided for comments. Let's now see what the community has to say by reading through their comments. Dude, I'm proud of you. You've done everything right. You just have one last thing to do. Don't let your ex push your buttons through your daughters. The way you do that is to not get emotional about it. Realize that yes, it may be hard at first for your daughters, but they will get over it. They are getting older, so they will get a better perspective on everything. When they say things like, "It isn't fair to your ex," tell them you have always had no intention of getting back with your wife, and you have made that clear to her. And that's it. Just keep saying that over and over again. Eventually, they will be forced to understand. If they keep bringing it up, tell them to stop. They are demeaning your new girl. If they respect you, they will respect you. Yeah, no worries, is how OPI replies. Through our girls, my ex doesn't trigger my triggers, and it won't happen anytime soon. You make a valid point when you say that they insulted someone I know. Though my girls didn't exactly insult Clemens, at least not directly, I suppose this still counts, not only for me but also for her and our relationship. Indeed, since our divorce, my attitude towards the ex-wife has essentially been one of indifference. I simply don't provide enough as long as it has no bearing on our girls or their life in any kind. Oh no, their mother is ruining their future relationships with boyfriends, says Infinite Cobwebs. They are being led to believe that hearing confessions of love and apologies is sufficient justification for someone to cheat on them. Alternatively, people may believe that if they cheat and make a sincere effort to win back the original individual, they will succeed in maintaining the same level of relationship. This is the time, in my opinion, to talk to them informally about how they should handle possible relationships and to look into family counseling. They are incorporating their mother's incorrect message about how to show love into their conception of it. In response, OPI says, "Fuck me, I never really gave that much thought. I feel so incredibly foolish about this, focusing only on me and how to stop them from attempting to bring us back together when there is much more at risk. It looks like the only option at this point is counseling. I'll see whether my former therapist, the one I saw following the divorce, offers these family counseling sessions. She's already familiar with the situation and helped me a lot with my own problems, so she might have a greater chance than someone else. Of course, I'll try to locate another counselor for us or for the kids to see individually if they don't get along with her or don't respond to her. I really appreciate you alerting me to this. I know you've talked to them a lot, probably been blunt and talked to your head off without bad-mouthing her." Remarks ready for wine. Given the circumstances, have you given a reason for your separation? Have you sought the advice of a therapist if one is available to see if you can help them understand? As you ask, perhaps seeking the assistance of a licensed counselor might be beneficial. In response, Dopey says, "Yeah, I did. Then it came out that their mother had confided in him about it a few years prior, presumably as a way for her to self-flagellate and express regret. She probably told them how much she had hurt me and all of that, which is why I think she is trying so hard to make up to me now. Naturally, this is all bullshit. She could just stop and go on if she really wanted to make up to me, which is not something she can accomplish. Although I haven't tried it yet, I'm willing to try anything right now, including counseling." Alright, the community, especially the second commenter, offered up some very wise counsel. They made a really excellent point. I've gathered some more comments from the original poster that provide us with a great deal more information. So let's proceed with that before moving on to the update, which comes 1 year after the original post. Although her mother and I get along well, I've tried numerous times to explain to them that it's only for them and not for us. At least not for me. They simply don't seem to be receiving it at all. I mentioned her infidelity, as I've mentioned in other comments, to clarify my reasons for not wanting to be with their mother, and they were already aware of it. However, they consistently employ the same strategy to claim that she is now faithful to me. They choose to reject my observation that she cannot remain faithful to me, as we were never together in the first place. This is the thing that I believe is causing confusion in their brains. They don't recall ever seeing their mother as anything other than affectionate towards them or me. In the bedroom, she was the complete opposite of loving, if people could witness her acting cold and distant with me throughout her affair. Yes, it was an affair, not just a one-time thing, not that I wouldn't have divorced her either way. That was something they should never have really seen. With the support of a very close and good friend, I came to the realization that there was nothing wrong with me and that something had to be wrong with her, which is what led me to discover the affair. My attempts at intimacy were frequently met with rejection, and I felt more and more hopeless, because I began searching for explanations for why the quality and quantity of our romantic relationships had abruptly declined. Not only was sex lacking from our daily lives, but also little things. We always kissed in public at the front door before either of us left for work. I know it sounds corny. It was something that was lacking until recently when looking back became obvious. The truth is, their mother gave affection to someone else outside of our marriage while denying me even the barest expression of her love. I don't think that's acceptable. They are unaware of that. Even if I told them, which I'd prefer not to, they couldn't. And how painful it might be to learn that your partner didn't actually care all that much about you. Therefore, I believe that all of this, the regret, guilt, and desire for us to reunite, is pointless. What's the purpose? When it mattered, where was all this purported love, guilt, and regret? They seem to believe that my delight would quickly be outweighed by the two of us being together. They are unable to truly comprehend what it's like to be unable to trust your spouse, your relationship. God, please let them never have to realize that. I would never want to see any of them duped. Now, I've probably spoken to my ex-wife about this 100 times or more. We've talked about not dragging our adult lives into our girls' lives and, as they say, messing up in one ear and out the other. Now, in spite of my first concerns, I will end up discussing with them how their mother's infidelity affected me. At that point, I'm not even doing it for myself, but what another user on this site mentioned about how they're internalizing this as a means of showing love has definitely alarmed me. I have to instill in them the idea that cheating on someone or being cheated on is a serious matter that should not be dismissed. Clemence is not attempting to play the role of a mother figure to them in any way. She is aware that their gap in age is only 12 years, which is insufficient for them to regard her as a mother figure. Not to add, Clemence has no desire to take up their mother's role. Her first strategy is to just wait it out until they give up on their desire for a reunion with their mother and me. And ultimately, somewhere along the line, their relationships will become comfortable enough for them to spend an increasing amount of time together. If all goes according to plan, this will happen sooner rather than later. To be fair, neither my kids' behavior nor their attitude towards her are particularly rude, either in front of her or behind her back. Hell, from what I've heard, they don't really detest her. All they wanted was for me to go back and be with their mother. Now that we are fully informed about this tale, it is appropriate to proceed with the update, which comes 1 year after the original post, as I mentioned earlier. I was just reminded that, even though it has been a while, I still owed an update to the wonderful and helpful people who assisted me with our problems. Among those things, a number of things have occurred. It was actually my daughter who found my post. I had no idea that they frequented this site, much less read it. One day after work, I arrived home to find them in tears. They practically leapt on me, gave me hugs, wouldn't let go, and pleaded with me to pardon them. Regretfully, after reading one of my responses, they discovered the horrifying scope of my wife's extramarital affair and how deeply it had hurt me. As a family, we overcame it, but it took some time. I had nothing to be sorry for. They adored their mother, who exploited that affection and used it to control them, even if they are still little. It's her fault, not theirs. After a few months, The woman who was assisting us in healing and moving on suggested that there was no need for further action, and that they should merely follow up with her sometimes instead of continuing their weekly meetings. This was much-needed counseling. Although we're closer now than we were previously, I think it's totally understandable that their relationship with their mother has suffered as a result. Even though I had moved over what she had done all those years ago, I still advised them not to dwell too long on it. That was also addressed in therapy, both our individual and our group sessions, so it's all behind us now. I briefly confronted my ex-wife about it, making it plain that she was not allowed to bring up this whole getting back together crap in front of our girls going forward. My girls haven't been bugged about me since, or they just ignore their mother and don't bring it up at home, so I'm not sure whether it actually got through to her. I don't give a damn about what my ex-wife is doing as long as my girls are doing well. Since things have improved, my girlfriend and my girls have gotten along so much better that they have begun chatting to each other instead of just crying, saying goodbye, and waving, and sometimes even asking for advice on girly things, of course. Furthermore, witnessing it for the first time touched my heart more than words can express. To be honest, that also encouraged me to move my thoughts towards asking my girlfriend, who had shown me so much love and understanding during this whole ordeal, to say yes. After all this craziness, we had been dating for a long time, and I didn't really think there was anything more I could do to show her how much I loved her. Nevertheless, 2 months ago I was outwitted. One day, Clemens and my girls shocked me by getting me engaged. To be honest, I felt both very strange and incredibly thrilled. Not only was I proposed to, but my daughters and my girlfriend had really planned a surprise dinner and night out for me that day. To put it plainly, I was astounded. Our closest friends and relatives were the only ones present at the intimate and tiny ceremony. We are also expecting right now, and my girls are excited to spoil their new baby brother or sister. That's all there is to it. OP didn't reply to any remarks or correspondence of this nature. Thus, this is a fantastic, incredibly joyful update, OP. Congratulations on your impending nuptials, your impending child, and, of course, everything you and your daughters have accomplished to improve your situation. OP, thanks for sharing, and be careful. Now that the video has come to a conclusion, it's that moment. I hope you liked the stories we read today. It was a pleasure reading them to you. If you did, then feel free to like the video without hesitation. Remember to subscribe and even share this video with anyone you think would find my narrative entertaining. If you have time, please also check out all the links I've provided for you from our Discord community to my channel merchandise by scrolling down to the video description. Lastly, I just want to say thanks for watching.